let's be clear. The idea that Democrats want to get to the bottom of this is, remember, if you brought up Epstein at all, you were a conspiracy theorist for the entire time before Trump got in again. Remember that?
Yeah.
Why would you? In fact, they said, why would you bring it up? The reason any Democrat would possibly bring it up now, because they know Trump cannot reveal it.
Once we know that the Trump administration isn't getting to the bottom of it, no one is.
Oh, you don't trust Cash no more? He looks so reliable on here. Wow. You know, his supposed honeypot girlfriend, they're suing. But she's suing everybody. They said she's a IDF honeypot or whatever the fuck.
Who's suing? Was she suing
his girlfriend?
People?
Yeah.
Who's she suing?
That should, by the way, that should clear up those Jew rumors. Am I right?
Kurt Metzger's latest appearance on JRE was pretty refreshing, especially if you like to put on the tinfoil hat now and again. Kurt is basically a more polished Eddie Bravo. Eddie clearly knows what he's talking about, he just can't always articulate it. So he ends up yelling, "Look into it." Kurt, on the other hand, if you ask him to expound, you better buckle up because at some point you're going to find yourself seriously considering lizard people. He's going to hit you with information. And kind of like Theo Vaughn and Shane Gillis's recent appearance, there are moments throughout the podcast where it feels like there's this unspoken running joke in the Rogan sphere where controversial topics come up and Joe either doesn't want to go there or he plays dumb like he has no idea what's going on. One of the best moments is when Kurt calls out Joe talking about AI potentially becoming Jesus. Kurt points out that's basically the definition of the Antichrist and Luciferian. Because of course Joe would think that. Look at how many AI tech dork friends he has. Kurt also goes pretty hard on the Trump administration, calling out guys like Hegseth and Cash's quote-unquote girlfriend. But right from the beginning, he goes all in and brings up the dumpster fire Joe refuses to discuss, Turning Point USA.
How you like that Nicki Minaj, huh? Really?
What about her?
Did you watch? We've been covering TPUSA all week.
Okay, you're deep in the woods. I'm not. I stay out of that. If it seems
Why?
like
It's so great.
Because it seems like the right wing of this country is in some sort of a weird gang war.
There never was a fucking united right wing. It was a bunch of people needing some shit done that didn't get done, and now they're upset about it. And so because here's the thing.
It's a bunch of people scrambling to be in control of the narrative too.
The poly market dudes have some network. There's also, like the show I sold called The Cutout. They do these cutout things where it's like you pay a company to put up. Remember when Elon showed what countries all the tweets are coming from?
Right.
Okay. Why the fuck are Indians and Sri Lankans tweeting about Israel-Palestine shit, right? Well, It's because there's these bounties they put up and you can get invited to like a circle. Remember when you would show me those things people would get of like, hey, say this shit and we'll give you this money? Mm-hmm. Well, now there's a bounty system. Mm. It's on Jimmy's channel. It's fucking amazing. So a bunch of people that I would watch them just like flip and say a thing like it's their job to say it. It was their job, but they're trying to hit a certain amount of engagement, and then you get like 50 grand.
And it works both ways, I'm sure.
Both
a lot
ways
of the
with what?
Anti-Israel stuff, people being paid a bounty, don't you think?
Yeah, but China's making drones, right? If you want to know about the bounties being offered, just go watch the video with Kurt on Jimmy Dore. They offer influencers to post things with certain phrases in them, and it seems like Brazil is the one putting out these bounties. I get why Joe wants to stay out of the TPUSA drama. He is fully aware of what's going on though. He says all the time how he watches Jimmy Dore's channel where Kurt is the co-host, and they've basically covered the downfall of TPUSA. In just 3 months, they destroyed everything Charlie's built over the last decade. Erica is coming out on stage to pyros like it's Kill Tony, interviewing people Charlie would never even consider having on stage.
I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on, I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. I don't.
They're young men. You have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
I just find it strange that she called Vance an assassin. It was strange enough that he was the one that flew Charlie's body on Air Force 2. Like, are they saying he was the point man? I'm just tired of this season of America. The shows really went downhill since the early 2000s. Now we are just left with a few dystopian commentators that seem to not care what they say, one of them being Lord Charizard himself.
The reason that the frantic buying up of the media by Larry, the shadow president Larry Ellison, is because they lost the next generation of trauma-controlled fucking mind slaves because on TikTok, these psychopaths bragged about crimes they did to people. And all the young Zoomies are on there, including in America where we were force-fed woke bullshit by the oligarchs who are now suddenly horrified because they didn't think it would blow back, that their kids would absorb that crap. Guess who has not had woke programming for the last 12 years? Israel. So you can tell who's involved with the propaganda now because they have no concept of the sensitivities of these gender blobs that were made in this country. So now they lost the next generation. So now they're frantically buying TikTok. They're putting Barry Weiss in charge of fucking. That's going to work out great. I'll bet she's already out based on the town hall alone that we covered. One of the worst things I've ever seen.
I didn't see it.
Well, you're lucky, but we covered it all.
I'm trying to stay out of most of this stuff because every time I talk to you, I get dragged in and I get paranoid and anxiety.
Oh, yeah, no, you could be killed. I mean, you saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. I know you easily could be killed, and, yeah, I don't know.
Does Jimmy worry about that?
Jimmy got his phone hacked with Pegasus that time.
I don't know anything about that equals I'm not allowed to talk about that. Welcome to mainstream media, Joe. You're one of the corporations now. Joe, I never hear about anything anymore Rogan. This felt like an old school JRE episode from the era where Eddie Bravo wasn't banned. The world really is crazy. We live in a time when someone as wild as Kurt is more trustworthy than literally any news company. Anytime he brings up anything about important people like Barry Weiss's town hall with Erica Kirk, which was an absolute disaster, anything Erica does has been an absolute disaster. But anything about that or TPUSA or Charlie Kirk, Joe just doesn't pay attention. And Joe loves YouTube. Even in his early days of his podcast, he talks about how much he loves it. You know his algorithm is dialed into the TPUSA garbage.
Some AI will do that. I don't know if
Remember when Sonny
Hostin
quoted Seymour DeButts?
No.
Sonny Hostin quote, I think it's Seymour DeButts or some shit
Isn't
like
that Seymour Butts?
No, DeButts.
Oh,
and it was when Biden did all those pardons on his way out. She goes, well, Seymour, he pardoned his nephew, or his brother-in-law, Seymour DeButts, and the ChatGPT had just made that up. So people were like,
oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but she was a judge. Presided over child trafficking cases. Does that fill you with hope?
Yeah, but
I'll bet that was good to have her in charge of something like that.
She was probably tired from a long day of hard work at The View, and ChatGPT lied to her.
Look,
cut her some slack.
The point is, this is why Jesus won't be an AI, because Jesus isn't a fucking liar that you got to tell to go back and look stuff up.
Eventually, he'll get it right.
Also, Jesus wouldn't be made by a tech freak with a weird dick.
I think the AI is going to make Jesus. I don't think it's Jesus now.
I think it's going to make... Okay, if an AI makes Jesus, by the way, and this is just in lore. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not Christian.
Yeah, in lore.
You know my religion, Christ Penelope, which I disclosed to you.
I thought you were a Scientologist.
No, I'm a follower of Christ Penelope, the guy that farts in your nostrils to get the thing out. Remember I told you? Yeah, so that would be an antichrist.
This is the guy that farts in your face. He literally sits on your nose.
Kurt's the only podcast guest that leave me with homework that I'm excited to do. First time I made it through a full JRE episode in a long time. This feels like how Theo Vaughn's interview should have gone. Thankfully, Rogan has a friend who will tell him not all of his ideas are good, especially about how his belief that AI can become Jesus is blasphemous and ignorant and just an insult to more than 1 billion people. He literally had one of the best apologists on YouTube on JRE last year, and he told him that Jesus was objectively a real person. Joe even started going to church after. Not sure if he's still going, but it didn't take long for him to choose his, how did Kurt say, weird dicked AI tech friend over Jesus. Joe went on a podcast not too long ago, and I'm sure Kurt saw it and was like, I gotta fix this.
One of the weirder ones that people think this is a stupid take, but I don't care. Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? So if you're going to get the most brilliant, loving, powerful person that gives us advice and can show us how to live, to be in sync with God, who better than artificial intelligence to do that? Wow. If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus. Like all the magic tricks, all the ability to bring people back from the dead, walk on water, levitation, water into wine.
I don't think Joe actually believes that when he says it. It's beyond dumb to think that a creation by a man could ever be considered a god, and to compare it to Jesus is just crazy. But of course, I think he says stuff like that for his weird dick tech friend, the reptile. I would also like to point out how this is where Metzger excels in having conversations where Eddie Bravo cannot. He let Joe know his idea was stupid and kept it cordial while not consistently repeating, "Look into it." But instead, just a few, "Wait, you didn't know that?" Like when he tells Joe about Camp Mystic and how a lot of tinfoil hats said the weather seemed controlled. Joe, in his infinite tech Jesus wisdom, quickly plays the devil's advocate.
Remember the kid with the mullet? They blamed the Mystic Camp drowning here in Texas when the flood happened?
Yes.
It wasn't that kid. He got set out. He got hung out to dry like it was on him. But no, nothing he did. And Jesse Michaels is right. He was right. He told me, and he was dead right. The whatever caused that was something so much more sinister, and that kid was like he's an easy guy to, you know.
So what do you think that was man-made weather that caused that storm?
I can't remember the guy's name. We had at the time on Jimmy's show, the dude came on and explained exactly what it was and the loophole that lets them, because there's a treaty tonight. So I assume they just violate it, but no, there's actually a loophole to test this shit out here.
What evidence does this guy have that they created that storm? Because I thought they had been tracking that storm. I thought this was like
I'm not saying he said they created it, but
I thought it was. But hold on, I thought it was a convergence of two storms that was very rare, and it caused this flash flood.
I don't remember his details. I just know I feel at this point, especially after that Epstein shit, that they should have to prove they're not guilty.
But hold on, yeah, sure, but also storms are real.
Joe, yeah, but China's making drones, Rogan. Thanks for letting us know storms are real. Can you perplexity that, Jamie? Are storms real? Weather manipulation is a real thing. They were doing it back in Nam. And geoengineering is something you can literally just look up. Don't get me started on mud floods. I don't know enough about the Camp Mystic flood, but if Kurt says look into it, you will probably learn something devastating. That said, I do remember the video Kurt was talking about. That one aired on the Jimmy Dore show, and what's interesting is when you try searching Camp Mystic and Jimmy Dore, the episode doesn't come up at all, which is a little weird. And as the podcast keeps going, Kurt really starts unloading on the Trump administration, especially over Venezuela. Just saying all the things the millions of us Eddie Bravos aren't smart enough to articulate on our own. What's really crazy is 90% of you Eddie Bravos watching aren't subscribed. Subscribe.
Everybody voted for Trump to not have a war in Venezuela. I know that.
Right.
Nobody voted, so they're like, we got it. No fentanyl. That's a lie. I mean, I don't know what idiot thinks fentanyl is coming from Venezuela, but only liars and morons think that. And if I'm wrong, can we see the evidence? We saw the video of you murdering those people. I just got to take your word for it? That oily-haired fuck Pete Hegseth with his weirdo Catholic and Templar night tattoos? He's got fucking Dan Brown cuckoo tattoos. They're not Nazi. They're fucking Knights of fucking Saint whatever the fuck
I saw that
he's
same
in.
symbol in a Catholic church.
Yeah, they're
DC.
old Crusader shit. And just so you know, Templars were not good guys. They were real fucked. They were, in fact, it's a real ditty party.
We're going on a long circuitous route. What did you say initially before that?
Venezuela. Why?
Okay,
everybody's
so
going to
here's
war.
the thing. One of the boats, the remains of the boat just showed up. Mm-hmm. They just found it and it has marijuana in it.
Oh, you know what? I stand corrected then. Sorry, Joe.
But no, I mean, I'm saying to prove to your point.
They almost had marijuana.
No, it had. I think that's true. See if that was something that was in the news today.
Felt like Rogan was blocking Kurt the entire episode from talking. Sometimes I think Kurt is part of the most elaborate Jehovah's Witness recruitment program imaginable. Kurt is the only guest Joe has on that makes his handlers nervous. Once Metzger starts talking about Pete Hegseth and his cringe secret society tattoos, Joe changes the subject real fast. Joe clearly doesn't want beef with any of the dorks Trump hired to be the face for whatever or whoever is actually calling the shots behind the scenes. Because guys like Hegseth and Cash are terrible actors. No pun intended. They are bad at pretending they know what they're doing. And if the director of this season of America was even remotely competent, they would have been fired already. Or, they would have just quit in shame, like Bongino. The funniest part of the whole podcast was when he called out Cash and his quote-unquote girlfriend.
Let's be clear. The idea that Democrats want to get to the bottom of this is, remember, if you brought up Epstein at all, you were a conspiracy theorist for the entire time before Trump got in again. Remember that?
Yeah.
Why would you? In fact, they said, why would you bring it up? The reason any Democrat would possibly bring it up now, because they know Trump cannot reveal it. So they're just going to use it to make hay for whatever. I'm sure when AOC gets in, she'll get to the bottom of it. I'm sure when fucking What a joke, dude. What a fucking joke.
Once we know that the Trump administration isn't getting to the bottom of it, no one is.
Oh, you don't trust Cash no more? He looks so reliable on here. Bro! He talks like a goddamn Zoomer. Just, nobody thinks it's weird that guy lives with a dude. His supposed honeypot girlfriend, they're suing. But she's suing everybody. They said she's a IDF honeypot or whatever the fuck.
Who's suing? Was she suing
his girlfriend?
People?
Yeah.
Who's she suing?
By the way, that should clear up those Jew rumors. Am I right?
Cash's girlfriend sued several podcasters for defamation, alleging they spread false claims that she's a Mossad agent or honeypot for Patel. And Kurt's right. The lawsuit sure did calm down those rumors. It's hilarious how Joe does his absolute best to avoid mentioning Brazil, but he can't help but burst out laughing when Kurt drops a nuke like that. I think everyone is just sick of the team Trump put together to play the face of a position instead of giving them any real power to do their job. Maybe it's a good thing they don't have any power. They wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. As the podcast gets about 2 hours deep, Kurt makes sure to let Joe know how stupid his belief in AI Jesus is. And right when Kurt blames Joe's weird-dicked AI tech friends for Joe's line of thinking, Joe cuts him off.
That's what Lucifer, I think, is, a plasma ball of inverted souls, which they're going to tell you is Jesus, and it's not, by the way. Anybody telling you that a man-made AI Jesus is a Jesus, I mean, that's a Luciferian. That's how you spot him, so you know.
Then I'm a Luciferian, because I've been telling people that.
Well, you hang out with tech people, and you probably beam it in your head.
No, it was just a silly idea that what I'm saying is, it makes sense that if that keeps going, it's almost like a god. If it just keeps getting more and more powerful. Of course it is.
They say that literally. It's going to be like a god, but I'm just saying that wouldn't be Jesus. That would be crazy.
Well, whatever Jesus was.
I'm sure Jesus is a guy.
Just like Kurt made sure to circle back around and explain to Joe with kid gloves that he should probably stop spreading Luciferian beliefs, he also made sure to come back to the dumpster fire that is now TPUSA. Joe mentioned several times throughout the podcast that he doesn't keep up with it, but we know that's not true. He watches Jimmy Dore all the time, and when Kurt starts talking about Erica Kirk's Kill Tony-like entrances to her show, Joe admits that the memes are great. He just knows where the rabbit hole leads with TPUSA, and it's a topic his weird dick tech friends, I assume, don't want him to discuss.
If you're a Christian, I'm not saying I'm a Christian because I'm not. Sometimes I act like a Christian, but most of the time I do not. So I would never say that,
Right.
But think of the fucking crazy people running like, that's why TPUSA is so fucked when I watch it, is like, yo, ain't nobody a Christian in that shit. Not one motherfucker there is a fucking Christian. It's a collection of intel and socio-political shit and a money scam. Like all politics. All of them. But that's the Republican one. And it's real creepy if you watch it.
I don't.
Oh, well, you know what?
What do you watch? What do you watch that's creepy about it?
You don't watch Amfest? Well, I know when my father...
I don't watch any of that shit anymore.
So when my father died...
I'm swearing off of all of it.
Do you think this is creepy to your husband dies, so you come out in a sparkly outfit with fireworks shooting off like you're fucking Tony Hinchcliffe at a stadium show?
The memes are amazing.
3 weeks before he died, they were all piling on him that he's an anti-Semite because he had Dave Smith on and fucking...
Yeah, this is
Laura Loomer, that piece of shit, she goes, why don't you admit you're an anti-Semite? I don't think Charlie Kirk was an anti-Semite. He called it ethnic cleansing on Patrick Bet Value's show.
Called what ethnic cleansing?
Gaza.
Oh, right.
That's a big no-no. And then his funders were like, hey, what if you die? Who's going to take over? That's the first thing they say to you when you come in?
That's all I got.